What's going on, everyone? Happy Friday to everyone. Hopefully everyone is doing well and having a fantastic day so far. It is time now for the Friday edition of the Climate Update for Groundhog Day, February 2nd, 2024. That's right, today is Groundhog Day. We'll talk about that in a moment. We'll talk about a record that was set up in Alaska, and of course all of the weather threats that are going on in the United States. If you're new to my channel, this is where we do the daily weather update for the United States. We also sometimes touch on climate things that are going on around the world, and of course weather records. If you like this type of content, give this a thumbs up, subscribe down below, share this with your friends, family, and anyone who would be interested in seeing this. Alrighty, Punxsutawney Phil came out of his burrow today in rural Pennsylvania, rural western Pennsylvania. He came out looking for his shadow. He did not see his shadow. He declares that it will be an early spring for 2024. As of right now, indications are for the first half of February, that prediction is going to be right. So again, Punxsutawney Phil did not see his shadow today. Early spring is the call from Punxsutawney. All right, taking a look at this. Anchorage, Alaska. Yesterday, Anchorage set a record low temperature for January 31st at negative 18 degrees. This breaks the previous January 31st record of negative 17 degrees set back in 1989. So see, it's not always about record warm. It's sometimes about record cold as well. That's what happens with climate change. You get these extremes. You go from one extreme to another extreme. All right, taking a look at the satellite picture, you can see yet again, it's cloudy in the northeast U.S., but look what's happening here. These clouds are starting to move southeast, and look to the north of that. You do see there is some sort of clearing. There is going to be clearing this weekend. It's going to be sunny in the northeast. Finally, it took long enough. In the south, you're enjoying another sunny day, and that could continue into tomorrow before clouds start to increase. You can see here, there is a system over Texas that is starting to develop. That's going to gradually make its way to the east throughout the weekend, and there is a severe storm threat today in Texas. Tomorrow there'll be a marginal one in Louisiana, and I think there's going to be a bigger one on Sunday in Florida, where there could be isolated wind gusts and maybe even isolated tornadoes. We'll talk about that in just a moment. And showers and clouds continue on the west coast again today. And speaking of that, look at this out in the Pacific. We have another system that's spinning out here, and then there's also a system that is spinning southwest of Alaska. All this mess is going to aim itself at the west coast yet again, and it's going to be pretty significant. Taking a look at the radar picture. Radar returns. They're starting to exit in the northeast. Here in Philly today, we had showers pretty much all day. Even just now, we just had our last few sprinkles move through. Only got about close to 2/10 of an inch of rain here, which is not terribly a lot, but we don't need any more rain. We've had a lot of rain. You can see down in Texas, there are some showers near Austin, San Antonio, Dallas. But look in western Texas as what is starting to pop up. Some of these are starting to turn into thunderstorms, and this could result in a severe threat later on this evening. Out on the west coast, you do see there are showers in northern California, and some of them, it would not surprise me if there is some isolated rumbles of thunder or even a strike of lightning that occurs with this. Moving on to the national hazards map, you do see in the central region, north central plains, a lot of fog. And if we go back to satellite picture real quickly, you can see that there. A lot of low level clouds and fog. That is going to continue into the evening. And also, you do see here in the Rocky Mountains, winter storm warnings, winter weather advisories. On the west coast, flood watches are up. Again, you're looking at very heavy rainfall. Let's take a look at this, and I'll show you how much. Yeah, widespread 3 to 6 inches of rain between the showers now and right on through much of next week. And then there will be a really heavy axis down around Los Angeles, where isolated 10-inch plus amounts of rainfall could occur, which that is going to cause flooding. Remember, your ground is already saturated and can't handle much rainfall, and the infrastructure there certainly cannot handle it either. And you can see there'll also be some heavier rainfall amounts down along the Gulf Coast where this storm system is going to get going. There's going to be that severe weather threat tonight. Let's take a look at that now. We'll take a look at the Storm Prediction Center, and let me backtrack this. Here's day one. There is a slight risk in portions of Texas. Tornado, it's just at 2%. Wind is at 5%. Hail is actually the biggest threat for today. And there's even a hatched area in southern portions of Texas, southwest Texas, and that's something we will have to watch. And you can see here, as for the population goes, you can see here the slight risk, it is in 5 million population, and the marginal risk is in 17 million population. That's a decent amount of people that are in a slight risk for today. All right, let's move on to day 2, and you can see that shifts east a little bit. Houston, you may see a marginal risk of severe weather tomorrow. Not certain this is going to be upgraded to a slight risk, but it's something we have to watch. You can see that marginal risk does extend along the Gulf Coast into portions of Louisiana. Then we come to Sunday. Sunday, there is a marginal risk in Florida. I think this will get shifted a little bit further to the north, or expanded further to the north, and I also expect in time we'll probably see an addition of a slight risk within this. There is going to be a broken up or maybe a consolidated squall line that forms in the Gulf of Mexico. It's going to come on the West Florida coast, and yes, this could potentially have some severe weather, and if it's more discreet or broken up, there could be the potential for a few tornado warning cells, so you have to be mindful. An isolated tornado or two, it would not surprise me. Let's take a look at the models and see what they have for all this. We'll start off with the HER model, and we're going to go back to the 18Z run, and I'm going to move this to the mid-south because I want you to see what happens in Texas this evening. You see these showers and thunderstorms. They're going to start to get a little bit more organized in Texas. And you see these pinks that are showing up on the simulated radar from the HER model. That is where your potential hail could be. So you can see this will not become an organized line at first, but it'll eventually move east, and it will try to become more organized as we head into the overnight hours. It could even threaten the Dallas area. Look at this. These Boeing segments, that would definitely feature some potential wind. And as I advance this into tomorrow, first thing tomorrow morning, eastern Texas, you are going to have a severe weather threat, and that should continue into about the middle portions of the day. And then as you head into Saturday afternoon, it is going to clear out for you. But look what the HER model tries to do. It tries to develop a squall line well into Louisiana. That would suggest that the marginal risk area needs to be expanded a little bit further to the north. But you also see something else that happens. Here's New Orleans area. Down here, look at all this heavy rain that comes up. You do get quite a bit of heavy rain. An area of low pressure develops, a mesoscale low develops off of that, and watch what happens here. I'm going to take a look at the precipitation amounts. You can see widespread 1 to 2 inches of rainfall, but isolated 3+ inch amounts. That's something you'll have to watch, not only in Louisiana, but the Gulf Coast of Mississippi as well. Very heavy rainfall threat for you, too. Now let's change models. Let's come over to the 3km NAM, and I do want to show you something else. First off, the NAM is also showing the 3km NAM, it's the high-res NAM, it's also showing that meso low. There it is, right there. But you can see here, it's a little bit further to the east, and it actually comes on shore at extreme western panhandle of Florida. Let's go over to the southeast view, and I want to show you what happens on Sunday. You can see here, you have these broken up cells that form in the Gulf of Mexico, and this does come on shore of Florida. You can see with this right here, these segments, these clusters, that's where there's the threat of severe weather. And again, it wouldn't surprise me if there is an isolated tornado with this threat. Then look what happens. This really gets organized as it heads into the Atlantic, and it kind of strings itself out. And you do notice here, there's like a fire hose of moisture for portions of Georgia and eventually South Carolina. And now we're at the end of the run here. But should this slow down by any means, there would definitely be a flash flooding threat with that across portions of Georgia and portions of South Carolina as we head into Sunday night into Monday. And to see that, we have to go to the 12km NAM. And you can see here, South Carolina, you can see it slows down, but eventually it does shut off as the system starts to make its way to the east. Southern Florida, however, you're going to continue in the showers right on through Monday and maybe even portions of Tuesday. All right, let's widen things out. Let's go over to GFS. Let's talk about the western coast of the U.S. now, because this is very important as well. As noted, there is the threat of heavy rainfall in the west, and I have to change this so you can see frozen precipitation. Here it comes. Here is Saturday night. It starts to set itself up in California, and you can see here, it only gets heavier as we head into Sunday. And here we are Sunday afternoon. You can see mountain heavy snows in the bulk portion of California, north of Los Angeles at first, is seeing very heavy rainfall. But by Sunday night, and you're starting to come down to LA here, yes, you start to see heavy rainfall as well. And this fire hose of moisture, mind you, this is the GFS, so it's not going to pick up the higher resolutions as well. Trust me, there's going to be very heavy rainfall with a flow like this that just continues Monday, maybe even into Tuesday before it starts to try and come down to just showers on Wednesday. But look what happens here as I advance this. Another little system comes in, enhances the energy, and the rain tries to get heavy again Thursday, Wednesday into Thursday. And you can see that system does come east, and if I continue this, yeah, another little system would come in next weekend. So you're really not in the clear by any means at any point next week. How much rainfall are we talking? Well, I showed you what the Weather Protection Center is showing. Here's the GFS. And mind you, this is not a mesoscale model, so it's not going to pick up mesoscale features. Even the GFS is showing widespread 3 to 5 inches of rain, and anything in this orange, maroon, red colors, that's above 6 inches of rain with, you can see here, 8, 9 inches of rain in isolated areas. Yes, that is going to be possible. And if the GFS is showing that, that means you will likely see even more rain than that. Wouldn't surprise me if someone gets close to a foot of rainfall by the time this is done. There is going to be flooding. There's going to be power outages because trees are going to be weakened. The constant flow of the air, it's going to cause wind with the wet ground. That's why there's going to be weakened trees, and trees could come down. Mudslides, they're also going to be a possibility across California. All right, continuing on here, we do want to take a look now at what's going to happen across the rest of the country. So here's the GFS. We're widening this back out, and you can see the rest of the country. It's going to be fairly quiet. That storm's going to exit off the southeast coast. Not expecting much in the way of activity till you get to the middle of next week. Then we're going to have a system that sets up in the Central Plains. We'll have to watch that. The backside of it could have some snow or snow showers, windy conditions, but in the east, quiet. Maybe some showers again enter the picture next weekend. Yeah, it's going to be a quiet week next week. It's going to be above average temperatures. Not expecting a lot of active weather. Then this enters the picture here beyond next weekend, and quite frankly, that's 234 hours out on the GFS. That's a little far to take that serious. All right, let's take a look at new data just in from the Climate Prediction Center. And yeah, you're seeing something that's sticking out to you right away. Cold in the west, very warm in the east. Look at this maximum right over the Great Lakes. Well above average temperatures for anyone east of the Mississippi, anyone east of the Rocky Mountains for the 6 to 10 day outlook. And we do agree with this. There's no chances of winter, and the warmest is going to be right where Punxsutawney Phil just said, early spring. Taking a look at precipitation, well above average in the southwest U.S., and then you have this strip of above average from Texas all the way up in through to the Great Lakes. That's because of that couple systems that I showed you there. There's the potential there that there could be some precipitation with that maybe take things above average for February standards. Even on the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook, still slightly above average temperatures in the east. And taking a look in here in the central region, you can see here, or I should say the Four Corners region, look at this, below average temperatures for you. But none of that is going to expand to the east. Ridging is going to continue in the east, troughing in the west with unsettled pattern continuing in the west. It's not really looking like winter for the majority of the country unless you go out to the Rocky Mountains. And if you really like snow, go out there. They're getting tons of it over the next several weeks. Slightly above average precipitation is now in the outlook for 8 to 14 days from the Mid-Atlantic region on back to the Texas, with the highest being across Texas, Arizona, and portions of New Mexico. California will go below average precipitation in the 8 to 14 day outlook if this holds. We'll have to see if this actually holds. Alaska, above average precipitation for you. You don't need any more precipitation either. And below average precipitation for portions of Hawaii. Taking a look here in the Great Lakes region, like Chicago, near normal for you. So overall, it's not going to be a terribly active period for much of the country, aside from the West Coast, leading up into the next week. And then after that, things will get quiet. So generally above average, Atlanta, Georgia, Washington, D.C., New York City, Detroit, Cleveland, on and on it goes. very warm conditions over the next several weeks. Temperatures, like for example, Philadelphia, you're going to see 50s next week for multiple days. Down in the south, you will see temperatures behind that system when it warms back up, maybe going into the mid to upper 60s in many places like Georgia and portions of Alabama, maybe even 70s. So, yep, very quiet conditions in the east after this weekend threat of severe weather. And of course, the west coast is going to see that big storm system. That's all I have for you guys today. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. We'll have another update again tomorrow. If you're going to be in the path of any of these storm systems this weekend, please stay safe, be weather aware, and share this information with anyone you know in those areas so they can be prepared with what is going to come. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe to my channel down below and give this video a thumbs up. I will see you all again next time. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.